The reality is stark. Season-long issues continue. Ty is right, but now with nowhere to go, was he disengaged? Reality, but really, tweets and the old maestro was in the house. It's all next on tip-off. No, make it not true. I know it's got to happen, but I'm not ready for it. Boom, 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 boom. Hi. Weird feeling the last 24, 48 hours after the loss in game three. And this is almost over. Might be over tonight. Tonight might be it. Or we're getting on a plane Tuesday, and then it ends. The stark reality that this so fun NBA season with a bunch of guys that really couldn't be better dudes uh, is about to come to an end. It's a very weird feeling. I think I've shared with you before that when the season ends, I usually end up kind of going through a day, and then I just collapse for I sleep for, I don't know, 20, 24 hours. I don't even feel like I'm tired. I think I'm fine. Caffeine does a wonderful thing to keep you going. And then all of a sudden it's just over. I just think it's an emptiness that happens. And I will say I felt it. I've been wondering if I almost felt it earlier this year, just the last little bit. I had a nice day yesterday. Um, Other than my 7-year-old daughter beating me in golf. Really? Already? She plays. U.S. Kids puts out that age 7-year-old girl should play 1,100 yards for 9 holes. So she has her. If you're on YouTube, you can see it here. She has her own little scorecard, and she plays 120 on the first hole, 115, 120, and so we played 5 holes, and she was, I think, 4 over, and I was 5 or 6 over, or maybe she was only 3 over. I mean, it was just stupid. But she's driving the ball 100 yards when she only plays 120-yard holes. I know, I got beat. Okay, it's like justifying it. Quick thought back on Game 3. I thought we played pretty well. I thought we gave it a lot. They're really good. We've talked about this. I mean, I can just come up with every number imaginable. There's been 4 teams since in the last 20 years. It's about 25 years that has won. The Spurs are winning at 77% of the game. There's 4 teams in 25 years in the Western Conference that have this winning percentage. Okay? I mean, the Jazz of 96, 97, I keep saying we're playing ourselves from a past generation. Then the dominant Shaq team of 99, 2000, the Dallas team that lost in the first round of the playoffs, and then the Laker team of 08, 09, who may have knocked us out of the playoffs as well. That last play of the first half where Popovich draws up a play. Manu gets by Gordon, gorgeous pass by Duncan, and then Millsap doesn't need to leave Bonner, and they end up hitting a three to take the lead going to the half. That was a pretty big play. The talent difference in these two teams is enough. I have a hard time isolating a single play, but that one did seem big. A lot of things I thought were done well in that game. I thought the idea of Hayward guarding Parker and Damari Carroll guarding Parker, I thought it freed Harris and allowed him to get going offensively. I thought Gordon did a pretty decent job, but then the Spurs have an answer to it. They go to Manu Ginobili and play Manu at the 2. Now Gordon's going to go guard him. Gordon's offense is way off. If I have time today, which is it's funny how 1 hour earlier start always changes everything. I may or may not. I will attempt to go look at Gordon's shots and see what's going on and why he's as far off as he is today. I get to go get my son's cast put on with him today. That's my big event of the day. He's doing fine though. I appreciate all the people that asked, and it's a broken arm. Like, hey, I mean, he's not. if you ask him if he's doing fine, it's probably not true. He's 9 years old and lives a pretty cherished life, but he's fine. Uh, he just can't sleep. So anyway, it's like I'm trying to talk about everything but the reality if the season's over. Can you tell? But it's pretty close. So Gordon's struggling. I did think we played well. The rim shooting numbers are somewhat unfathomable. We shot in that game at the rim 5 of 16. Um, I'm not sure what's more stunning. You only make 5 shots, you only take 16. The uh, the two thoughts I have on that are one, it exposes. This is what happens in the playoffs. Your weaknesses get exposed. Uh, we only have one guy who can kind of get to the rim. That guy is Favors, but he can't finish. He couldn't beat Matt Bonner the other night in the post. I mean, he had a bunch of plays where he couldn't go beat Matt Bonner. Well, that's a big deal. Millsap is almost entirely a perimeter player in this series. Paul in the last game was 1 of 4 at the rim and 3 of 6 from 16 to 23 feet. That's the other one. These guys have turned us in. Al's got 2 shots at the rim. Those were on nice penetration by Harris. That's the other thing. We aren't doing anything offensively to be able to get their defense into a scramble, which in turn allowing guys to be able to get free from anyone. We haven't done that yet. That's on Harris, and he did it for a while, but he was 0 for 4 at the rim as he was penetrating. It's part of the reason why he probably didn't go to the rim as unabashed as we would have liked him to. We shot 31 shots from 16 to 23 feet in that game. That's just an insane amount, and we hit most. That's what kept us in that game. But that's the script for a terrible blowout if you're not careful. So here we sit, getting ready for Game 4, and the discussion out of practice yesterday is Derek Favors going to start? Well, let me make a few comments on this. One, if Derek Favors starts tonight, I think it's an enormous statement and move. It's a truthful move, and this is where we're heading. But I think it's really, really an enormous move in this sense. You are telling Paul Millsap, who earlier this year was on the verge of an all-star game, that we are going to close the year exactly as we intended to start it. We intended to start the year, Paul, with you coming off the bench and Derek starting. You battled, won that position back basically for most of the season. And now, here we are again. We are going to put you back out of your regular position. Not on the bench. So we're going to show you enough but Paul's not a 3. The big lineup has had success at times, but Paul's not a 3. And so here it is, a season-long issue of how do you possibly get Favors the minutes without completely humiliating Jefferson or Millsap, who were your guns and got you into the playoffs. Trust me, Paul Millsap he might voice it on Locker Cloud. He does not want to be a small forward. He's a power forward. His goal is to be an all-star power forward. His goal is to prove he can be a starting power forward on a playoff team. He's done close to those things this year. He's not an all-star power forward, but he wants to be one. That's who he is. And now on the final night of the season, or potential final night of the season, you could start him at small forward because somebody else took his position. And make him play out of position, defending differently, on a different All these different things. I think it might be the right move, but I think it's an enormous move. And I don't think we can underestimate how big a deal it is to Paul, to his feeling of the future of the franchise, to the just statement that Derek's here, which is obvious. The other issue is, I think this summarizes what's been going on this entire series. I'm not sure the big lineup is the answer. The big lineup with Jefferson the other night was -6 in that game. And yet, there's no other real way to get Favors the minutes that he has to get in this game. I mean, maybe the answer is you're benching Jefferson because his pick and roll defense is that bad. But you can't do that right now. You might move forward with that as an intention. But at this point, excuse me, you really, maybe this falls on deaf ears on your end, but you can't do it. Okay, just trust me. It's not how it works. And it's not that, well, why not? Because the guy battled for you all year. The guy is vital to your franchise. Frankly, you kill his trade value if you do it in a day. But poor Al has been victimized in this series. Zach Lowe tweets out from Sports Illustrated, watching the pick and roll on Al Jefferson, watching the Spurs pick on Al Jefferson, the pick and roll again and again almost makes me feel sad and uncomfortable. Poor plotting Big Al. The San Antonio beat writer tweeted out last night, a woman ran out on the floor during the middle of the Denver-LA game, and he tweeted out, if she runs out on the floor during the Spurs-Jazz game, how many points does she score on Big Al? Okay, most people are seeing what we know. And that's a huge problem for us go in the future. And you've probably this offseason got to try to figure out whether or not you can hide those deficiencies of Al and use his positives. But that's not a lack of effort or lack of interest thing. He just isn't able to get back fast enough. So here we sit. Now let me take the other one. I got 3 emails, tweets, whatever from people asking the other night, is Millsap disengaged? What's wrong with Millsap? What's wrong with Millsap is he's playing the small forward, and that's not his position. There's some things that lineup lets him do well, but that's not his position. You go back and look at April, he didn't shoot particularly well. If I decide to really geek out in a monotonous research project, I'll go find out what he shot as playing the 3 this year. But in those minutes, he doesn't shoot as well. He's out of his realm. He's not playing the game that's his game. You know, we keep saying, well, we'll post up a smaller guy. He's not a good post-up player. And I think if you look at Synergy Sports, you find out that he shoots about 36% on post-ups. So the lot of season-long issues are coming back to cause significant discussion points, problems here. But if Favors starts tonight, which I'm beginning to get the vibe he's going to because it's so abundantly clear he has to play. But the idea of benching either Millsap or Jefferson at this point of a season where they carry you the playoffs, I don't care where you are, maybe as a fan, where you're ruthless enough that you don't have a human element to it. Trust me, it's not a choice. You're already making a significant statement, frankly, to Paul. And we'll discuss in future tip-offs. Frankly, starting tomorrow, we could have a lot of tip-offs to fill without a lot of things to talk about. On post-ups this year, Paul Millsap shoots 39.3% and scores 41% of the time, by the way. You know, and that's the other issue. For all of the Favors love that we are giving him and discussing, and what's he shooting, about 41% in the series? Can't beat Matt Bonner in the post yet. He'll be great. I'm very concerned about his lack of touch around the rim. Hopefully that increases over time. His free throw shooting is a difficult issue. I mean, he only finishes 55% of the offensive rebounds he gets. which isn't great. It's about 76 in the league, and he only makes 37% of his post-ups. He's not flawless. That seems to have been forgotten also. He's terrific. He's going to be great. He's not flawless, thus making all of these issues for Tyrone Corbin even more difficult. One thing that'll be talked about a lot on the radio today, I can just tell, and it should be, were the quotes by Al Jefferson yesterday. And really what he did is he summarized our tip-off the other day. Our tip-off the other day, I kept talking about how I'd like these guys to play as though they were trying to win more, while simultaneously telling you how they had no chance to win. And a bunch of people said, well, what is it? Well, I think the truth is it's exactly what I said. The only problem is Al Jefferson basically just came out and said that yesterday. That if you didn't hear it, Al Jefferson basically said they're great, pretty close to came out to say they're great, they're unbeatable. I've never seen a team like this. And, you know, it's hard for, there's almost nothing for us to do, would be the close to the comment that I think that we got from him. All right, it's one thing, I think there's going to be a legitimate discussion. It's one thing if I say it. It's another thing if he says it. And I'm going to guess a bunch of fans don't like that. I think that's a legitimate not like. I think Al is just incredibly honest with his comments. I'm not always sure that we should be judging Al based on his comments. I'm not sure he is as filtered as everyone else is in this league. And so the more time he gets in front of a microphone, I think he says a few things. I think that what really is, if you learn anything about Al, you find out how truly nice and good guy he is, because I don't think he has the filter most of the guys have, and he never says anything ridiculous. So they're not great. And I think, you know, it does show that he's beaten down mentally. You know, we've talked about it a lot. He's now played Duncan, 26 times. He's 21 and 25. You probably don't want to have your player, while the series is still going on, making some of those comments. His comment, they were so happy to be only down 7 at half in San Antonio, I thought was maybe accurate, but again, not something you always want to hear from one of your lead guy. Final few notes. I'm having audio issues in my ear. I hope you guys are not. You know, what the playoffs do and why it's been so important to be in these playoffs is it shows a level of where you have to be. It exposes your weaknesses. Gordon Hayward probably has a pretty stark reality of still how much work he has to do coming off really good March and April, that he's got a lot of work left. Favors does too, frankly. He's, you know, as much as our love affair is going on with Faves, he was 3 of 7 the other night from 3 to 9 feet, 0 for 2 from 10 to 15, and 0 for 3 from 16 to 23 feet. You know, I'm a big fan of his, but he's got to find a way to shoot better than 22% from 10 to 15 feet. That's not going to get her done. And he will, I think. But, you know, this playoff series is a stark reminder of how far your game has to go. As good as Paul is, we're seeing he can't get to the rim undersized against a big team. And they're big when they want to be, and they're small when they want to be, because they do have an answer for everything. The Jefferson, enough said. Those weaknesses are really abundant right now and really obvious. You know, not quick enough offensively to go just beat someone one-on-one in anything other than his wheezy and things like that. Lack of going to the free throw line, and lack defensively. We pick at him an awful lot for a guy who's pretty good. So that's what this playoff series was for. I think we've learned it. I thought Burks and Cannon were very good the other night, and I think that was very important. We'll see what happens tonight. Maybe we're doing one of these with a lot of pride, a lot of jump out. Tickets are available. Strongly urge you to come out, root on these guys, show them your support. on what has really been an awesome season. Awesome season. Let's hope it doesn't end tonight. By the way, one other quick note: Andre Miller was just awesome last night. I know they lost, but the guy just still just plays the game. Love his game. That screen out of Gasol late was so good. First quarter, he's just conducting the entire game. He's so good. He's also a free agent. I don't know how we do it, but you never know. Be fun to have him back. And finally, I'm not a huge follow baseball great deal, but the Baltimore Orioles have the best record in baseball on May 7th. That's pretty stunning. And Mike Trout hit his first home run for those of you who got to see him in Salt Lake. All right, let's hope it doesn't happen tonight, but it may. 6 o'clock tip. Tickets are available. Hope you make it out.